Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of the Learning Python series. Today what we're going to be learning is all about getting users input, and then using user input we're going to make a small calculator application as well as a Madlibs game. So to start, I'm just going to make a new program for us. So we'll do Learning Python part 3. And in here we'll jump right into it with getting user input. So the function to get user input in Python is simple. It's just going to be input with some parentheses. This will grab whatever the user types in the console. And within these parentheses, we're able to put a prompt. So this is what we can feed the user, because often when you want their input, you're going to have to prompt them with a question like, what is your name? What is your, for example. So in here we can put a string as the prompt, and we can start with simply just, what is your name? So if we run this, it'll ask me what is my name. I could type a name, Bob, for example, and it will end. So all this is doing is grabbing input. To move forward with this, what we need to do is store what they input in a variable. So I can just put here username equals, and so now it will ask for the input, prompting them with the question, what is your name? And whatever they respond with, they'll put into username. So if I run this, what is my name? Bob. So now Bob has been stored within username. So if I go ahead and say print your name is, and then I do plus username. So now if I go ahead and run this and I say my name is Bob, then there we go. So your name is Bob. And so this will adjust for any user input. So if I say my name is Jackson, your name is Jackson. We can build further on this with multiple user inputs. For example, we ask them, what is your name? And then after that, we ask them their age. So what is your age? So what is your age? And then we could go down here and put your name is blank. You are. Then we can put their age, years old. So now if we go ahead and user age, go ahead and run this, it'll ask me my name, so I could say Tom, and I'm 23. So now if I run that, your name is Tom, you are 23 years old. So obviously you could see how user input can be super important, super crucial, especially when running more complex programs and applications where you want variables that can change that are given to you by the user. So to put this into action today, what we're going to do is we're going to build a calculator application and a Madlibs game. These are both going to rely heavily on user input, and they're also pretty simple for beginners. So what we're going to be doing is building a simple calculator application. We're just going to work with adding for now. And to do this, before we start, we're going to want to visualize what we want. So as we can imagine, we're going to want to prompt the users asking the numbers they want to add. And after getting the numbers they want to add, we're going to want to add them and then return this to the user using Python. So to do this, using our input function, we can say num1 equals input, what is your first number? And then we can do the exact same for the second number. Oops, making changes to this. So now what we've done is we asked the user what's their first number, what's their second number, and we've stored this in variables num1 and num2. So then simply we can just go here and have our result equals, and then we can do num1 plus num2. And then obviously we're going to want to print the result. But before running this code, there's an important thing to note. As we can see, if you're using VS Code and you hover over these variables, we can see what type of variable this is. as we know, inputs are grabbing strings from a user because we're typing something in, it's taking it in as a string. In Python, you can't add strings together because they're not numbers, they're strings. And so what we're going to want to do is we're going to need to convert, and in programming we call this casting. We're going to want to cast these into integers, so aka numbers, so that we can add them. So in order to do that, it's really simple. All you have to do is put int, and just like that. So this will just convert anything within the parentheses into an integer, so it'll convert this string into an int. Similarly, we do that with num2, and now we have those two numbers actually as numbers rather than strings. So now if we run this, pretend I wanted to add 2 and 3, there we go. So it prints out 5. So building a little bit further, one problem you might experience is if you want to do decimal. So for example, if I do 2.5 and 3.3, it's going to error out. And the reason it's erroring out is because integers are limited to whole numbers. They don't look at anything decimal place. It's just pure whole numbers. And so in order to include numbers that have decimal points that aren't whole numbers, we can use the float function. So floats are going to be numbers with decimal places. But that doesn't mean you're only limited to those. You can also use numbers with that are whole. So for example, I could do whole number 4 plus 3.21, and there we go, 7.21. So that's just a simple calculator application. Obviously we can change this symbol in here. We can even do minus, so we could do 5 minus 2.7823. There we go. So it works really well. You could build on top of this. You could have it multiply, add, divide, subtract, all of that. But just for the sake of learning, this is the base level calculator application. All right, so moving on to our final project of this lesson, we're going to work on making a Madlibs game. So this is going to be reliant on user input. So similar to making our calculator application, before delving straight into it, we should kind of envision what we want to create. So what I envision is we ask them, similar to the real Madlibs game, for a noun, for example, a famous person, or an animal. And so we take those 3 variables and then we plug them into common sentences, and then based off the user input, it can generate some funny sentences. So we'll start just by creating those sentences. So they're just going to be simple sentences. For example, roses are blank, and then obviously this blank will have the user's color. And then we'll do their animal. So animal is blue. And then we'll do our final sentences. Then we'll do the famous person. So this is my attempt at rhyming. We have roses are blank color, animal is blue, famous is cool too. So there we just have a very simple Madlibs structure, and we can go ahead and enter here. And so obviously if we print this, these variables remain undefined. So what we're going to want to do is define these variables by grabbing user input. So to start with color, we can just ask them simply, enter your color. So we can go color equals input and then enter a color. So then we can just do the same for animal and famous. We can do enter an animal and then enter a famous person. So what we've done here is we need to change these first. So we have animal and then famous. So now we have color, animal, and famous. We've asked them to enter those, and then it'll print exactly what they said. So now if I run this, pretend I pick the color green, and animal will do giraffe, and then a famous person will do the rock. So now if we run this, we get the response: roses are green, giraffe is blue, the rock is cool too. So obviously we could see how this could be improved. Giraffe is plural. We can go ahead and add this and then put, so that'll fix that. But there we go. So just a simple Madlibs game. Before finishing up, I want to just introduce one really quick thing to you guys, and I'll definitely branch onto this in the future. But if you want to delve into some more user input stuff, adding variables into strings like we have here, I want to introduce you to a way to integrate these variables into strings rather than this plus method. So as you know, if you wanted to put this all into one line, it would have to be like roses are plus color plus period plus animal plus s. So you can see how this would be a really long thing. It's hard to type. My preferred way of integrating these variables into strings are with a method called fstrings. So it's relatively this way is relatively new. I think it was added in Python 3.6. But what you do is you can just, before you type your string, you can put an F right here, and then all you have to do is wherever you want the variable to be, you put curly brackets, and then you just put your variable. So just like that, it's doing the exact same thing as I was doing before. So then right here, I can put animals are blue, so then I would just put animals, and then put the F, and then here we're gonna put is cool to F, and then famous person, so famous. So as you can see, this saves a lot of time, especially when you have multiple variables that you want to integrate into strings. This could save a ton of time, and it's super helpful, and it's a lot more readable as well. So if I run this, I enter my colors, green, dog, and we'll stick with the rock. So roses are green, dogs are blue, the rock is cool too. So that's just a really quick way to do that, and yeah, like I said, I'll elaborate a little bit more on this in the future. But for now, if you want to use this way or you want to use the other way, both are perfectly fine. I just will probably be using this as we move forward. So that was lesson 3 in the Learning Python series. We learned about getting user input, we created a calculator, and we created a cool little Madlibs game. Thank you.